I remember X.
Okay. This letter is frustrating.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate for free. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the host, press star now. Please enter your PIN followed by the pound or hash. Thank you. You are the only participant in the conference. The recording has started. Please note that your storage is almost full. Please log in and delete recordings or purchase more storage from your account.
Eric with API will be here in case anybody wants to ask any more questions.
Good. Great.
The questions that you guys had are more towards the lawyer side. So after our discussion, I can take those and email Amy. When I put action on there, I didn't mean that we needed to approve it, but I want to make sure that if we need corrections, that I get those put in place. So.
So I'm kind of keeping it. That's been a little steady lately, yeah.
And then,
Right, going to the spring.
obviously, there's going to be more corrections.
Picks right
that
up.
we made on this
It's not spring yet, so
development agreement.
back to the big white poles.
So we may have
Yeah.
another meeting
Forward to this.
February. So if we're at a point that we cannot approve it, we'll have another meeting that way we can close
Okay.
in March. So we need to move that discussion. I just realized that it's on the
You guys
bottom.
receive these, that. So there's that one, it's the 28.
7-5.
Now that we have municipal infraction citation forms.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
I'm just curious if you've ever seen one of those come through your office here.
Same old, same old. Second verse, same as the first. So, snowman's not on the leash. This mean dog.
She's my neighbor and she is one of the sweetest ladies you'll ever meet. And the dog too.
It almost looks like the dog's playing in the yard. I can't tell if that's street.
That's the street, just unplowed. She walks in like twice a day, no matter what.
I'm gonna tell myself. 6:30.
Okay.
Call the meeting to order. We'll do roll call. Steve,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Megan, Doug,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Approval of agenda. In front of you, you have the agenda. Are there any additions, subtractions, changes that need to be made?
Move approval. Second.
Hold on just a second. Eric, are you on?
Eric with ATI.
Perfect. We have a discussion item for the development agreement, and it's close to the bottom. Would you like us to move that up front, so we don't take all your night?
Yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind that, that'd be great.
Be 7I.
We have a motion that needs to be withdrawn. Move it right after 4.
Yeah. Okay.
How about if we move it after sheriff talks?
Okay. Under 5A.
Let him go.
5A2.
Let you go.
Under 5A.
Under 5A.
I'm talking about. Perfect. Who made that motion? Steve, second by Ken. Ken.
Sure.
Steve did.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Doug. Yep.
Yes.
Citizens forum. At this time, we'll take any citizens who have anything to talk about other than those things that are currently listed on the agenda. Are there any citizens on the line? Hearing none, we'll move on to 5A, Sheriff's Department, and you have the sheriff's report here. And I can pass it around. What do you got for us?
A couple things.
We got some big stuff going on.
Oh, huge.
Hey, we made first story on Channel 3.
Yeah, we did.
That I don't have much about. This deputy, I assume he's walking here, responded to it twice, so he knows more than I do. It's being investigated. Fire detectives. Are you doing the report?
Yes, I passed on to detectives.
Okay, so yeah, our detectives will be doing it. I thought I don't know anything about it.
So I know very little. I wasn't there for the first one, but
Okay,
just the second one.
the main one. Yep. But yes, any questions I can relay? You guys have any questions other than why is Casey's on fire?
Well, my big thinking cap, how it works is, I don't remember if it was a month or 2 months ago, we had that string of fires on the same road. So that's like my biggest concern, if these are related or not, if we need to do anything on our side, so.
I relayed that because I responded to a few of those fires a couple month ago or whatever. I relayed that to our detective as well, our fire investigator.
Yep.
So they're aware.
I was there on the whole night where the 3 barns.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had one of our guys come up. I think that got passed on to detectives as well.
So all under investigation.
Yeah, too new to have any good details or anything like that. So, I know we discussed parking too. That was kind of one of the main things we discussed last meeting. So I did a little deep dive into our parking stuff we have here. I printed off some copies here. I'll pass these around. The municipal infraction citation form. This is relatively new. This was revamped. I'll let you start the one and pass it down. That was revamped last April to totally redo things. That does not cover parking though. That is all the other ordinances that would be cited. When it comes to these citations as well, and I'm sure you guys are all aware of this, we can obviously do it, issue them, or the mayor, public works director, public works assistant. So it doesn't always have to be us when it comes to those parking things, which we're happy to do, but just in the future, I'm sure you guys knew that. When it comes to the bigger things, though, I have the municipal infraction enforcement. This was done up to when that new form was done as well. And I have a few copies of those. I'll pass these out as well. And this just goes through what the city attorney would have to be in charge of versus what the city clerk, Nevada, would handle on the state side of things and how all that works, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with as well. But what it comes down to is your city attorney is going to have to handle all the, if they fight it, plead guilty, the court cases, things like that. So it just kind of, it spells it out, I thought, pretty good. And then the last thing I have is a diagram, which basically shows how all this kind of moves. And it was done in the wrong format, so to print it is impossible. So it cuts off the bottom part of this, but I just wrote down what that last box said. So. So then I guess that leads into my next question. I threw a bunch of information at you there, but are all the fines in the ordinances, are those current? Are those up to date and
Should be.
good to go? Okay. The one I have says 2012. Has it been revamped since 2012? No. Okay. Perfect. No, that's fine. I just want to make sure I have the most current one. And I was looking at the fines and the citations, parking, and things of that nature. Are that starts with 25 and then goes 5 more. I guess maybe that was snow removal. I have to look exactly. But so the issue, I guess, was the semi parking over on. Was your guys' issue with that it was parking longer than 72 hours, or what was
That it is not on a truck route.
not on a truck route? That the semi was not on the truck route. Okay. Gotcha. And I'd have to look at the what your ordinance says about that. If there's a fine, is there a fine associated with that?
Yes, not off the top of my head.
Okay, I don't. That's fine.
No, so it would just be a municipal infraction.
Okay.
With, up to $700.
Gotcha. And you guys we've had other towns do go the nuisance abatement route and just do that as kind of like a warning, which can be like kind of an all-encompassing type of thing. The town of Zeering dealt with that a bunch. So that's another option you can do as well. I don't know if that's something
They did what?
like a nuisance abatement. So just
Okay.
went through the city and just did it that way. Like I said, a warning essentially. So that's another option to have. But we do have, when it comes to parking, we do have a program on our computers that can issue parking citations. However, it's almost like a separate Excel spreadsheet. So it only goes off of if it's updated manually. So it's not like it's tied directly to your city. When you change things, it changes. It could be, outdated. So a lot of that stuff I was checking. I don't know if you looked at it recently as well, but I was rechecking a lot of the ordinances here, and they were accurate. But something to think about. So we have the ability to do that, to issue citations for parking. So yeah, if anything, you guys look over those, and if anything comes up or any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, and if I don't know the answer, I'll get you the answer as soon as I can. But that was all kind of redone, and I don't know that anybody or many deputies have even done those bigger municipal citations. That would be probably higher than the parking side of things, but we have the ability to do that. Is kind of the main point of all that.
And we would still have to pay, we would pay the court fee.
Yep,
How that works?
$85 is what that is, and it kind of spells it out. Yeah, that's with each filing, so the city would have to pay that, which is currently $85, or was as of April of last year. I don't think it's changed.
Which almost wouldn't make sense, right? If our ticket is
Take an extra 25 and you'll pay 85.
You're losing.
Why isn't the person who is determined guilty paying the court costs?
I think that would be the case.
Okay.
So you'd have to file it, but the city would recover said fee if the defendant pays upon a guilty plea or judgment. So get that back, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys would have to track it with the initial appearance side of things. And
Did you get a copy of all this, Deb?
No.
I have extra copies that ended up down here.
Okay.
a lot of information. Feel free to email me. Deb, or I'll get you the answers. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have. We've obviously stepped up our extra patrols around the Casey's. I've been still camping out at the parks. It's obviously cold, so there's not much going on late at night at the parks, but I've been out there a couple nights sitting there and haven't seen anything. So, and then still the speed down Main Street is on our radar, figuratively and literally. So we'll keep doing that. But
Council, do you guys have anything for Officer Luke?
Nope, we're good.
Perfect.
awesome. Thanks, guys.
Stay safe.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Take
guys.
care.
All right, we will move to item 7I, discussion and action on development agreement.
Yeah.
You should see that here. This was what Amy came up with. I know Doug and Steve, you had some questions on this. And I'll try my best to answer it. Also, Eric, again, from ATI is on the line as well, for anything on the ATI side that you want to speak of. One of your questions, Doug, was about the amount of housing going in, or when that would go in.
The amount of what?
Housing. I don't think the agreement spells out the exact number of housing.
It had 13 minimum in one page there.
Yes.
And that was taken by the original agreement.
It was 10 on the original. Maybe not. Okay,
I don't.
most of it was not worth issue.
So, but this will eventually spell out, and it's one of those exhibits. The exhibits are for, one, the disbursement request. So the exhibits are between us and ATI. So those will probably,
Yeah, Exhibit B would be the preliminary plat, and that would indicate the total number of lots.
Yep. and that, ATI has already said that they will be, submitting that for, planning and zoning after the agreement has been put in place. So what we would
Well,
be
we
doing
can't
is,
put the agreement in place until we have the preliminary plat
Right.
approved.
the
Because,
draft, sorry, the agreement final would happen after that, but the draft of it is what they're wanting
okay,
before, so. Yeah. Sorry, I misspoke on that. Also, ATI has also said, BJ told me that they are going to pick up the cost of the legal fees for this project. So that includes this development agreement as well, just so you are aware. And I think that should be in here.
that the $13,000 that's referred to on
Yeah.
page 3.
Has any research been done on the sewer lines? I know at one point, is that, okay?
Yeah, I actually talked to the engineer, the developer today, and it does look like there might be a bust on that elevation of the existing sewer. So they're going to go confirm that, but if that turns out to be the case, that it is actually built the way the old plans show or closer to it, they may not need to go to North Street anymore. So he's gonna confirm that, and have to look into it, but it looks like that's a possibility, so.
When you say a bust, you mean in their planning, not.
Yeah,
our-
it was on the limits of their survey, and so it was extrapolated, that's the word, extrapolated from what information they had and not verified in the field, because it was, like I said, on the limits of their survey. So they're gonna go back and get that picked up and shot and confirmed, but it does look like it's possible that that's not the accurate, 'cause there's a drop there. There's a real steep section of sewer, and there's kind of a drop that gets it down lower. And so not having that information on the drop and the steep section, it could be where we hope it is, which would mean that they could make that connection there. And if that works better for the development, which I think it will, based on a conversation with Jake, that's a positive thing, so.
Does that do anything for the infrastructure costs?
I don't know how it affects the infrastructure costs. McClure or Jake would have to let us know on that, but it certainly will mean a lot less work to have to confirm capacity to go around the horn through town.
I would assume so, yeah.
And I'm just pulled up your email, Doug. You talk about no houses could be built for several years. This would say that you'd have to build 4 houses a year.
Where is that? Because I couldn't find that.
There's nothing,
Nothing in there.
nothing in there.
I'll make a note of that. And I don't know if that is supposed to be,
The only requirement is that there are 13 houses to be constructed by 2030, which is 13 houses in 9 years.
8 years in reality.
Well,
All right.
kind of depends. If all this gets done yet this calendar year, and they build their first house this calendar year. And this goes through calendar year 2030.
Okay.
And there are 9 calendar years, even though there'd be only a portion of one this year.
Which one was that? Sorry.
Which one, what?
What page was that on?
2,
2?
first paragraph.
So this needs to be changed. We'll make it 4.
Well, if that changes, then there's a lot of other things that are impacted because the date of 2030 appears in many places. And if you build 4 houses a year, then it's not 2030. It's
3 years in, 4 years almost.
so
Right, that's what I'm saying. Take out the 13 houses. Instead of doing 13 houses, you're doing 4 houses
and
a year by 2030. Which, what is that? 4 times 8 is
32.
32. And
More
we got
houses
20
than lots.
And we got 27 lots altogether.
Or was it 28 now? 'Cause it bumped one
The-
someplace.
Thought it was 28.
Could be 20.
Yeah, it bumped one.
the agreement, you take out the 13 houses and you say there's gonna be 4 houses built a year, and you leave in the date of, well, there'd be a lot of other little changes. We'll just have to see.
And I'll bring that up to Amy as well.
You still working on Doug's?
Sorry. Got sidetracked. Skin in the game question. You want to talk
No,
about
I
that
think you hit the big ones.
one? Okay. And then you guys want Tiana's thoughts, obviously, which is a good idea as well. Okay. Steve, you're up.
Page 2.
Yep.
Section 2, 3rd paragraph.
Yep.
Last 3 lines, it says the developer will provide the city with either a deed or permanent easement to the improvements and related right-of-way comprising the public infrastructure project, which shall thereafter be maintained by the city, which makes sense. Is the little strip of road adjacent to the water tower part of the improved public infrastructure project, or is it not? And if it's not, then how do we get deed to that strip of land?
Hold on, let me pull the map.
You're gonna need Beacon where it shows parcels.
You hungry?
I did eat a little something, but yes. Maybe that was my trouble.
You should save it as a favorite.
I should with how much I use it. All right, let me back out.
And that's good enough. An old strip of land adjacent between the water tower and the parcel to the east.
This,
No.
No, that one.
The future right away.
The little strip of road.
Right where the shadow is,
You
right?
see this? Right here?
Don't we already own that?
Yeah. Click on it. Click here.
Gotcha.
Now,
I believe that is part of the project. I'll double check with that because they were asking about that way back. So I will double check with them on that. Or Eric, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Do you know that road on the, it'd be the south side of the development that goes by the water tower?
Yep.
That's part of your guys' project, correct?
Yep, we're planning on constructing the street to tie in there, and then that'll just be part of the right of way and the public improvements that will be deeded to the city.
that's fine. At one time, that was not going to be part of the project. So I just wanted to verify that it is part of the project.
Yep, we have that included in our scope.
Great. Everyone's aware on page 2, paragraph 3, the second paragraph under that as that road's constructed and they provide materials and everything else, I'm not competent to review all that. And so I would assume that we would ask our engineer to look at the documents and verify them and approve them for payment. So this is going to include a slight cost to the city in order to make these payments. Just make sure everybody's aware of
do you
it.
know how much that would cost roughly?
Depends on what level services you want. We can do everything from full-time residential observation inspection to just administration where we're just reviewing the payouts and quantities.
Well, the city's gonna have to have
Yep.
the construction inspected prior to acceptance.
Right.
And this paragraph deals with them providing all the documentation for costs so that they can be paid.
Mhm.
So we have to have adequate documentation to show that we're not just giving money away.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We can do any kind of level that you want there. It can just be a confirmation of quantities. This was actually done. It matches what we expect, or it can be full. You want somebody there to watch them do it the whole time, make sure it's all done right. I mean, that's whatever comfort level you want for confirmation of the work and materials that were involved. So generally full construction services when we do everything runs about 5-6% of the construction cost, give or take. That's having someone there all the time and doing everything. I don't know that I necessarily want to do that on this one, but that would be kind of the top end. Just admin services. It depends on how quickly it gets built. There's a lot of things in there.
Well,
we can show you
1% of 600,000 is 6,000, and
660,000.
well, 1%,
Okay, what? Yeah,
and 5% would be 30,000.
3,000. Yeah.
So between 5 and 30,000, or 6 and 30,000
Yep.
dollars.
You're quicker on the mental math than I am. So yeah, there you go.
I am more mental than you. Is that what you're saying?
When it comes to math.
Oh, okay. I think just the council needs to be aware of it so they're not surprised in the future. On number 4, once the bonds are issued, then we are obligated to pay for the work that's completed. So we would, of course, get the TIF established, we would get the authorization, we'd get the revenue all in time to make the payment. That's what this assumes. The forgivable loan is on page 3, number 5, is $260,000 with a 5% interest per year. And I was trying to figure out how that works, because we give the developer $600,000 between the non-forgivable, or between the grant and the forgivable. And the forgivable part is that as they build houses, then we reduce the amount that they owe. Well, 5% interest on $260,000 is what, 5 times 26, 13,000 approximately. So in the first year, there's $13,000 interest. But does that mean that they're paying us $13,000?
I think that's only if they
Well,
don't complete it, right?
no. They have a 5% interest per, I don't understand how this works.
Okay.
They have 5% interest per year on the forgivable part. And in that first year, if they didn't have any houses, we've given them the money because they built the road. And $13,000 is the interest on $260,000, but we don't have the money. We don't have the asset that's earning interest. They have all the money. So does that mean they're paying us $13,000? And if they built 2 or 3 houses, then it's just they're going to be paying us a little bit less than $13,000.
I'll double check with that.
Yeah, I don't know how, this looks good. I have no problem with it. I just don't understand how it works.
And let me throw one more thing in there. The note, the forgivable loan bears interest, but it's calculated from the most recent forgiveness date. I don't understand what that means. And it says as hereafter defined.
Well, the forgiveness dates all happen on December 31st of each year. So they report how many houses they've built, and at the end of the year, it's all tabulated. So
December.
If they built it's either December or February. It's one of those.
The locked-in date.
Yeah, there's a locked-in date in here.
Okay.
So they submit a report, and the report says they built 3 houses. Then their forgiveness is for 3 houses. You know, we go out and verify, we look, yeah, that's a house. And so we forgive 3 houses. That's $60,000. So now they only owe us $200,000, and 5% interest on $200,000
is
$10,000. Is it like just a credit to the city, or is it cash to the city? I don't know. So that's what confused me.
I think what I'll do is after we get done here, I'll set up a meeting with Amy and have Steve and Doug be on that meeting. So then I'm not being the middle person back and forth.
Oh, you're no fun. I mean, that's why you get the big bucks.
That's right.
That's why this
Call you
process is
mayor.
being dragged out so much, because I forget half the things she says.
Paragraph 6 has the date of January 15th.
Okay.
Of each year. So I think that's what they're
Is
referring
that
to.
the forgiveness date? Okay.
Page 4 again talks about the review of disbursement requests and public infrastructure costs, which is going to require engineering review, in my opinion, because They said that they've done 5,000 cubic yards of dirt moving at a certain amount. I would have absolutely no idea. Page 5, number 3 talks about the grant, the grant and the forgivable amounts. 390 and 260, I guess it's 650,000 is the total. Which one of the questions that I wanted Tiana to answer is we have some cash, and so we may not need to sell bonds for the whole thing. If we want to use that cash in the TIF district already, that would mean our repayment on our GO bond would be lower because the amount we're borrowing is less. We already know that we're not going to get enough cash in to make the GO bond payments. So what's the sweet spot between using cash and getting enough money in to make the majority of the payments so future councils aren't strapped for cash? And are we going to try to do the 15-year, or we're going to live with the 10-year? We can do the 10-year on our own, and the 15-year requires approval of the school district and the county. And so Tiana should be projecting debt repayment based upon 10-year and 15-year. So the council can take a look at that. If you look at page 5 under number 4, the very short paragraph that says the principal of the forgiveness loan shall not be eligible for forgiveness after the request period ending January 15th of 2030. Well, changing the date earlier, or if you leave the date the same, then I guess this is fine. If you have more houses required each year, and you leave it 2030, then they would get reimbursement for more than 13. This right now just says they're going to get reimbursement for 13 properties, not all of them. And so changing that changes it. And finally, on page 6, right above C, there is a paragraph that goes into verbal detail about how things are calculated. And I just need Amy to verify that this is what the current law says. And if the legislature changes the law, which they like playing around TIF district law, then do they always do it in a way that does not abrogate existing contracts?
Okay.
That's all I had.
Anybody else have questions on this? Eric, did you have any questions on anything that we said? I know it was kind of a lot to be thrown at you.
No, we do not. I think we'll have more questions and get our hands on the development agreement.
Okay.
I know that through that, I'm sure we'll have questions.
For sure. Do you want me, I can email you a copy of the one that we have right now. Obviously, there's going to be changes made to it, but I can send you a copy. That way you guys can at least see what we have been talking about.
Okay, that sounds great.
Perfect. I think next steps are email Amy tonight or tomorrow, set up a meeting for maybe later this week, so we can sit down and talk. And then whose finance committee is that? Megan?
Megan and,
Maybe if you feel comfortable enough, have a conversation with Tiana, see where we're at. We'll get those changes made in this, and then try to have another meeting here in February to keep pushing this further along. If that works for everybody.
if you, post an agenda for the meeting, then other council people can attend
I
and
think it'd be good to have Steve.
listen in.
That'd be three, but so we'll need an agenda.
Well, I was thinking more than myself.
Okay, next subject.
Perfect. Okay.
You have a lot of development contact.
I do.
Yes, you
know
do.
a
I
whole
do.
lot.
I do. I would
Yep.
love to.
Very good.
Okay, so I
We'll
will
be doing today.
Yes.
write this down.
Take down.
Meeting with Amy. Meeting with Tiana. I was gonna email you back.
Agenda, I say, remember.
Hey, Deb,
Yes,
is it the same law firm that holds an answer to the question about whether or not the city should be paying sewer and water?
no.
Different? Okay,
Amy's Dorsey, the other one's Allers.
okay. Thank you. I get them all confused.
There's a lot of them. Okay, anything else on this item? Hearing
This
none.
is Eric with
Yep.
ACI.
Yep.
Just had one question, I guess.
Yep.
So it kind of sounds like you guys will be going back to your attorney and kind of asking some questions about the development agreement.
Yep.
And then we'll get a copy of it, take a look at it ourselves.
Yep.
What's your timeline on formally sending us a draft of that so we can get that in front of our attorney so they can start their review as well?
For sure. I think, like I said earlier in the meeting, I think our plan is to have the meeting with the attorney and get things confirmed and changes made and meet with our financial advisor. And then we'll try to have another meeting here in February.
Probably 2 weeks.
2 weeks. There you go. Answer by Steve, 2 weeks.
Okay, that sounds good.
Perfect.
Tweaks.
Anything else, Eric?
I should be good. Thanks for your time, guys.
Yep.
We appreciate it. Look forward to getting this project going.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
You aren't the only one.
We've been on this horse for a long time.
Okay. All right, let's move on to 5B, Fire Department. We have 4 calls with 27 people, no injuries or accidents, no maintenance, no special events, no future plans, and nothing the city needs to do. Anything for Tony on fire side?
Where does the city publish the fact that they are flushing the hydrants, or was Sunday's serving of tea water a
It was this.
result of the
Yes.
fire?
Fire.
Okay. Where does the city publish the flushing of hydrants?
I think in the past we have published them on the sign outside.
Sign, the post office,
Post office.
Yep.
yeah.
I know that everyone drives past the sign every day and stops at the post office every day. But don't we also have Facebook webpage?
We have a Facebook page.
Yes,
You
we
can post it
do. I can do that. I just need to know when they plan on.
People would probably like to know when too.
Absolutely.
But it
Maybe
was,
they should
it was,
plan on doing it whenever newsletter comes out too, so like.
Yeah, we usually put it
As
in
the
the
newsletter
newsletter
comes out, they're forewarned,
That you'll have most of your water on this thing.
because I don't know how often you do that newsletter.
quarterly.
And I think they do the flushing more often than that. They try
No, we
to,
do flushing twice a year.
twice a year.
oh, okay.
So just make it so that when that newsletter comes out, there's at least a flushing.
It was really dark this time.
It was.
Mine was clean.
It tastes like spring water too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Tasted good.
EMS report.
We're getting bad. That's only an hour in.
Total page outs 12. Total Maxwell responded to 9. That is a huge plus, I will say on that. Average certified EMS per call 1 to 2. Bribe persons assist 0. Cambridge to Maxwell 3. EMS monthly meeting and training, yes. Truck check was complete. CQI was completed by Story County Medical Center. Vehicle maintenance needed done. Annual service for 863. Anything needed from council that says no. But we do have to, if I look on the meeting minutes side, we do have to approve Nick Riddler. He would like to join the EMS.
You actually have 5 members.
Jerry Holmes, Jody Hill,
Jody Hill,
Jody,
Joel
Westbrook.
Okay.
Move approval of all 4.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yep.
Steve.
Yes. You sure? about that?
Anything for
There you go.
Yeah, like.
anything for Scott? Hearing none. These calls surprised me actually.
Yes, that's very good.
So
Thank you for responding.
yes. Library report. Haven't received meeting, excuse me, Christmas can't read.
Wow.
Meeting minutes yet, so they aren't added, but they are added. Looks like the director's report, this is clear back in November. 224 books, 116 DVDs, 356 in attendance, 99 burgers, 73 on hold. Looks like they're continuing their education for the library. Early out program, big hit this year. They averaged 30 kids. Available space is being pushed to the limit with that many kids. They're moving forward with updating the look of the library and getting the plan made. Have had a few people take advantage of our Monday appointments to get one-on-one help with using a computer. Employee reviews are coming up, working on upcoming programs for all ages. Anything for the library report? Hearing none, we'll move on to Public Works. Streets, nothing new. Parks, nothing new. Water, 1.4 million gallons pumped, 1.2 million gallons sold. Getting price to replace phone dialer at water plant. We pumped 1.7 million gallons. No price on sewer line maintenance yet. Lagoon project is done. One thing that we did find out is Manath is going to redo S27 from Highway 30 to 11th Street. And so we could get a good deal between 11th Street and is that North
Yes.
Street? Yeah. So that might be something that we want to have Tony check into. So.
Yep.
Sounds like a good idea.
Anything for Tony?
And they're gonna be doing that this coming summer.
Yes,
Yes.
they think June.
So by the time we get the rest of Baldwin done, they will be completed with the road up through the library or up through the cemetery.
Yeah, they would be ahead of us at this point.
How far have they gotten driving the cat from the west coast to here?
So we know it's been delivered. Well, not delivered here, but delivered to the United States. We were just talking about that today at one of our meetings. And I forgot to ask Tony an update as to where. I think he has no idea where it's at. So Ziegler did say.
Google has an app for that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Ziegler did say they would work with us on the rental price.
We only rent it for a month?
Yeah.
And we gotta be getting close if we aren't already.
We have it till what? Is it the end of February?
No, it wouldn't be that long.
No, because you guys rented it in the middle of December.
Oh.
That's right.
I think we're already beyond potentially.
Yeah. So they're gonna work with us on that.
What does that mean though?
We'll have to figure it out.
Okay.
Talk to Tony and figure it out.
Anything else for Tony? I think they're in the middle of putting it together, actually. It's like an IKEA desk where it takes a couple months.
All they have is an Allen wrench.
Yeah.
Yep.
Strips out.
Every time.
City clerk, we have received all the new computers and tablets. Jameson helped get them put together. They're not all put together, but yeah. That was that thing that was sitting right there.
Remember there? What are you doing to the old ones?
So we got 3 Surface Pros, so like what I have here, and that will be for the sewer plant. Tony and Chris to have to carry around so they can take pictures if they need to and log in and do their thing. And then one for us if we need to use it for a meeting or something. And I don't have those with me. And then Deb and Dee both got Surface laptops as well, which is going to take a while to get everything moved over to. But we do have 3 brand new monitors as well to go with those. So once we get everything moved around and ready to go, should just be plug and play. So.
The one that would be available for meetings would be set up so that it can work with the TV and anybody can just come in, turn it on and go.
Yep.
Great.
Windows K, that's what I found out on this.
K.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I hit Windows K, this pops up and you'll see the LG Web OS TV.
The Windows button.
Yeah.
Oh, the Windows button
Oh,
and the
alright.
letter K.
Yep.
And it brings up the Connect.
Yep, and then you can either connect, or in this case, for me, it'd be disconnect. But yes, then it will completely mirror your whole screen without just being the Google tab.
Great.
So.
There was a planning and open space, or Parks and Open Spaces.
Yeah.
POB
Parks Open Space Board.
board meeting. Okay. We have had a good response about the new newsletter so far. Several people have asked to have theirs mailed. 6 people, one of them being my grandmother. So I texted her and said, "Look it up on Facebook." She said, "What's that?"
Oh, bless her heart.
We are still trying to find a contractor for the remodel. So they have had several people. They've had one person come in and actually do a review of the whole thing, and contacted several other people, but nobody's just getting back at this point. So I'm going to send an email out to Story Construction to see if there's anything that they can do. They have a small construction side of things.
And they understand that we are going to move everything out. They may have a little demolition to do, but essentially it's carpet, paint walls.
They may, I don't know. There hasn't been any conversation aside from the one person that came in. So
Is that the way it's presented to them though? That they don't have to move
I don't-
everything out?
do you know?
Yeah, Kenny is the only one, and the other guy is the only ones that we've talked to, and we've said that we were gonna move everything out.
Okay.
If you need help with a list of contractors or anything like that. let me know.
That'd be fantastic. If you want to email me those and also CC D and Deb on, or just the city, and they can do that. So. Okay, moving on to complaints.
I have a handout. Take one, pass the rest around.
So this complaint came in on January 17th, leash law in Maxwell, Iowa, in the city limits. How many complaints and photos do I have myself and Todd have to send into you about these dog owners at this address? 718 Maxwell Street for last years. Do not have this dog on a leash in roaming streets and yards. And again, we stopped in street to not hit this dog with owner. So many feet back in our photos. These owners of this dog have not once followed leash law in city limits. I see this all the time. Cindy James.
What I handed out is the city ordinance as it pertains to animals at large. We do not have a leash law. And so the city has no authority to require that an animal be leashed. What our ordinance says is that an at-large animal means it's not on the owner's premises and not under the control of a competent person. Or if it's not restrained within a motor vehicle or housed at a veterinary clinic. Okay. So there are dogs that voice control is all they need. They don't go running around. They'll stay really close to the owner. So they would be under the control of a competent person. There are other dogs, and we had a meeting about it a couple months ago where we asked that it be removed from the city because the owners could not control it. What's prohibited? Well, you can't allow an animal to run at large within the corporate limits. Well, what's at large? At large is not under control of somebody, not necessarily that it has to be leashed. And then there's a few other damage and interference, annoyance or disturbance, and impoundment authority if at large.
And I don't see any of those things in these photos.
No.
No.
So,
Although I did about run over it the other day.
Did you?
and
It raced across 210 and was half a block down before she even got to the road.
and was the owner there?
She was stopped at Highway 210.
And so they need to be, I think it would be appropriate to send them a warning from the city
I have.
that does not talk about leashing.
No, it says outlaw at large. Controlling your dog.
And we've already sent them one warning.
Yes, and she came down and said that it's on an electronic leash because of her back.
Well, and since you sent them the letter, did you almost run over the dog after that?
Yes.
Then I would send them the next letter up.
Okay.
They don't have to have it on a leash, but they do have to have it under control, and that means that it has to, it can't be running around. That's my opinion.
Anybody else's opinion on the council?
Sounds right.
You just hate to see it get ran over.
Do we want to change the ordinance so that we require people to have their dogs on a leash? Something to think about. I mean, we can change it if it becomes a problem. A question for a different day?
Correct.
Everybody should think about it, though.
I think Lauren's wheels are spinning right
My
now.
wheels are spinning, but I will.
I mean, how often do you have, where there are dogs down at the farmer's market, and the dogs were not on leashes? And does that cause any problem? I know if you go to a farmer market down up in Ames or down in Des Moines, they're all on leashes.
Right. I don't think we have, if it were to ever be a problem, I think we would have to implement such a leash rule. Most dogs are on leashes. There are, I would say, more service dogs at the farmer's market, more
When a
than
service dog is on a leash.
then they're on the leash. So I don't think we have any leash issues at the farmer's market. Now, under control of a competent person, and I don't know this lady, this resident personally, but I have never seen any issues with this. Is Cindy saying that the lady lives at 718 Maxwell Street, or is that Cindy's address?
She lives in.
No, it's not Cindy's address. She
Okay.
lives on the odd side.
Okay, so this must be the apartments, am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
And this person may be very competent, but if the dog had almost got hit by the city clerk,
Sure.
and it almost got hit by Cindy's testimony,
Mhm.
then it is a concern that it may not be under control as required.
Sure.
And it's passing on the premises of another, which would be the interference potential. If it's on somebody else's property.
Yeah, but that would be a different level of proof. Yeah.
Anything else for Deb and Dee?
On the complaint or on the clerk's report.
On the complaint. Hearing none, we'll go with the treasurer's and budget report.
Deb, we're in the whole 142,000 under the FEMA. Do we have a time frame on that?
Nope. We submitted one to the state or to the whoever it is, federal government, and for the parks part of it. So we'll see what we get.
Do you have any idea off the top of your head approximately how much we submitted?
I don't, because that's not my area.
Okay,
We turned in all of the invoices and everything we had. Time cards.
and then the other one is the wastewater treatment facility. We're in the whole $93,800. Have we turned in all the billing for that? And do we expect to get $93,800?
I've got to talk to Justin to see how much. I know there was a couple of them that weren't turned in. That he was waiting for some reports. To find out how much. I don't know. I didn't understand it all, but I have to talk to Justin on it.
we should be getting all that back because we're underneath the amount that we had submitted for a construction loan. So everything that we've spent would be covered under that construction loan, which would be reimbursable out of the account. So it might just be, I know he's waiting on some paperwork for the Davis Bacon. I don't know if he's holding something on that, or we haven't got anything on that reimbursement wise, but it should be coming, I would think. Because we're actually under our budget overall.
And then the last question I have is, Fund 625, our sinking fund, has $7,000 in it. And that's just 1 month's transfer, right?
Yeah,
So does that have the right amount of money in it? Yeah.
no. I need to do another transfer.
Okay.
And anything else on the treasurer's report? Budget report. Questions, comments, concerns on that? It's a front and backer. Going once, going twice. Nothing. All right, moving on. Wes, you're up.
All right. Well, we got a few other things on the agenda here tonight, so I'll just skip to the stuff that's not. Baldwin Street. So construction documents are done essentially there. I need to get you guys, Spencer's getting me a latest print to get you guys to review. But coming up, so the work that's coming up on that one, to go forward with the project, is establishing the bidding schedule and then committing the required funding, which is part of the work for the budgeting. We talked about CDBG applications. They are being accepted for the April 1st deadline for that. The CDBG would apply towards any water main reconstruction if you wanted to include water main in the project as well. Currently, the plans do not include any water main in the project. We had given you guys, just to refresh your memory, some information on what that might add construction cost wise to replace the water main for the duration of the project. Would be approximately, let's see, taking out the sewer, a little over $300,000 to add that to the project. There would be some additional design and engineering to go with that, as well as construction services when we get onto the inspection of that. So you're looking at estimated about $375 for adding water main. Now, the CDBG program would provide $300,000 grant. I don't think it's prorated. I think that's the max. I could be wrong there. You might have to match it. So if you have 375, worst case scenario, say $400,000 for the thing, for the cost, they would match. They want you to match 50-50. I think that'd be the worst case. So they would provide 200, you provide 200. So if you're gonna do that, it would be a $200,000 additional cost to the city to make that work.
You can take that on my paycheck if you want.
Yeah, sure. I can double check with Justin on that. I don't think they would give the whole 300 if you're only matching, another 75,000. But you can use SRF funds for that. It's a similar program to what we use for the wastewater treatment plant. So it would be a 20-year loan program for $200,000 at the 1.75% interest plus some origination. But it's a funding thing.
Yeah. So and I'm assuming would you have to bond it out? If you do that, and then we're at our bonding capacity pretty quick.
For the SRF funding, they do look at your bonding. That'd be a question for Tiana, I think. Okay. Using the SRF does add in some other complexities to the project. It's federal funding, federally tainted money, I call it. So they make you do environmental review clearances. Now the DNR does all that for you, but it adds, at this point, it adds schedule.
Yeah.
Because you have to get on the IUP, Which the next IUP application would be the same April 1st quarter. And then it has to go to the DNR to get on the environmental schedule, and they got to do their environmental investigations and clear it, that there's no archaeological environmental architectural, that's too many ologies in there. So there's just other things that can go into that. Some of that, not all that adds cost, but it just adds time and hassle. So that's what that water side would be. That'd be a question. We can discuss that more. I can answer questions more on that too, on whether that's something the city still wants to pursue, is looking into CDBG to do some of the water main replacement.
Did you send me a different funding source for that too? Or was that the CDBG?
No, that's a different one.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the CDBG side of it, which pertains to the water. I did just recently find out, about another potential funding opportunity grant program through the Central Iowa Regional Transportation Planning Authority. And I believe we have this on as another scope item here, but it's not as 100% as CDBG, but it's a potential thing. And we've got it on as an action item, so I won't touch on that here too much. Wastewater treatment plant, as far as the construction is done, there's a couple of little punch list items. I believe Justin is waiting on some paperwork on the Davis-Bacon to close that one out. So we're pretty much there. If anybody's interested in a tour, we can I can arrange for the engineer to be there to answer the questions on the details if you want, or just run down there with Tony too. But if you wanted to do a more official tour, we can certainly do that. They're, exciting things, treatment plants. But
Open house and running water.
Well, walking out on those lagoon covers is kind of exciting. That's a new experience that I got to do for the first time. It's a little.
I went up on the overpass and looked down at the water.
Yeah.
You may not be able to walk on water, but you sure can walk on.
You can walk on them covers. And it feels like you're on water because they float and they move. Yeah. And certain ones are meant to be walked on and certain ones are not. So you gotta.
I'll just stay off.
You'll get your feet wet if you walk on the ones that aren't meant to. Anyway. Then the last two, we've also got items on the agenda there that we can talk about upcoming. So
Anything for Wes under the engineer's report that is not listed below?
So what were your possible solutions of the trail?
Action item.
We got next time we talk about them, but
So, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Parks and Open Spaces Board. In front of you, you have the minutes. It looks like the Parks Board is recommending that we approve and accept the tree hugger invoice 3015 for removing 8 designated ash trees in the city park.
Which was a zero cost.
Yes.
And so it wouldn't be on the bill listing because it's a zero cost. Do we need to have an action accepting it or just being part of the report? I don't know whether he needs anything in
I'm sure he would
official.
like some type of receipt or something. Maybe. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, we should probably have an action.
as a
item.
donation.
as a donation.
Yeah.
Do we need an action for that, Deb? Or could you just make out a acceptance of donation?
It would probably be better to have an action motion.
Can we do that without having it on the agenda? Because we have the report on the agenda? Is anybody gonna care really?
Well, you make a good point because we do that with EMS. We approve new EMS members
No action item.
without any action item. So I would do the same thing. We could, if you want to make the motion. and then
I
can-
move that the city accept the donation of $18,300 for tree removal
Moved by,
at zero cost.
Second.
moved by Steve, second by Doug. Discussion. Hearing none. I think I left off any, Doug.
Yep.
Ken,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
They also discussed the damaged playground equipment, and they are looking at the options. It looks like they motioned to only buy the one section of the tunnel, the slide that is broken. And I'm assuming, do we have to approve that eventually?
That would be a purchase item and there's budgeted money for it. So I think they could just direct Tony to do that.
Okay.
That's why we have Parks and Open Space Bureau.
Just to
yeah.
clarify on the broken piece, Doug, this was just that specific section and we were able to purchase the tool with it. So the tool came with it. We probably need to revisit that email and make sure that,
Yeah, 'cause they had two tools
yes,
and the tube, they had a bracket to hold it up, which I think we'd probably do with the bucket of the tractor. They had several other options
Right.
in with that. Maybe sometime you and I can get together and we can
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
Or get it to Tony somehow.
Yep. And Denny actually wanted to start on those trees this month. So
Good.
I'll email him and let him know that he's good.
Short-term project goals for 22-23. They want to purchase trash can to replace containers at the park. They say prices have really increased along with supply chain demands. Planting 1 or 2 new trees in the city park. Signs for the Heart of Iowa bike trail. The 23 goals are planting more trees in City Park, additional trash cans, disc golf mat holders, and possible 2 additional disc golf holes.
And this was all covered as part of their budget asking for next year.
Lauren?
Yes.
Okay, so, in that case, instead of acting on this now, we should act on that with the budget approval.
Not mentioned in the short-term goals were the spotlights that we'll be working on this spring for
South
the,
end of town.
That'd be
South
the
end of
current
town.
fiscal year, not the proposed.
not proposed.
Right.
My mistake.
Accomplishments for 21. Bike stencils were placed on city streets to direct bikers through town for bike trail. Memorial tree planted at City Park. Holiday tree planted at City Park as well.
And then the city went and seal coated over top of the nice stencil work, beautiful stencil work that was done. So now you can't see it.
Was it 2?
We'll do
Is
again
it
next
2 of
year.
them
Yeah.
that are gone over?
And then they did
4
budget
of them.
planning.
2, 4, yeah.
Anything for Jody, Cass, Mike, and Deb?
Dave, thank you.
I would say Lauren, but Lauren doesn't count
She didn't
anymore.
count.
Oh, sure
We're
she does.
counting.
That's our committee.
It's
There you
on Diz. There we go.
Thanks for attending that meeting
Yeah.
on the phone. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, moving on. Item 6, public hearing, discussion action on resolution approving the maximum tax dollars from certain levies for the cities.
Fuel post, fuel.
Exposed.
Fuel.
Proposed.
Peel posed.
Renewal.
Need a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes.
Move, we open the public hearing.
Moved by Steve to open public hearing, second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Ken,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
The public hearing is now open on resolution 2022-03, resolution approving the maximum tax dollars from certain levies for the city's proposed fiscal year budget 22-23. Are there any is there any public comment pertaining to this resolution? Hearing none, I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Ken to close.
Second.
Second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing
Your
none.
turn.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah.
The public hearing is now closed.
This does not set a tax rate, it sets a maximum tax dollar. Is that correct, Deb?
Yes.
Move approval of the resolution.
Moved by Steve. Is there a second? Second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes.
Resolution 2223 is approved. Moving on to item 7A, discussion and action on SERPDA funding application for Baldwin reconstruction project. Wes?
Yes, all right.
Yeah.
So this is the new source of funding that you were made aware of. This is a very recent development. I believe 2018 was the first, 2019, right before the Layton Pleasantness started. It comes through the Central Iowa Regional Transit Planning Authority, which is CERTPA, which is a 6 or 9 county Central Iowa transportation planning area. And so the CERTPA has set aside 200 and forgot the number exactly, around $250,000 for it. Surface, is it on there?
240.
240. Okay, excellent. I'm glad somebody has the right information there. For a surface transportation block grant, STBG, I believe is what it's called. Essentially, they award this money to applicants who apply for roadway improvement projects that fit within the scope of what they're doing with the CERTPA. It's fairly new. It was actually came about because of some, I don't believe it was an actual court case, but it was some legal contest for a community in Warren County, I believe, that we were actually part of, that established the CERTPA focuses primarily on the large communities, but they were getting money from all the county taxpayers. And so they were challenged and say, wait a minute, you're getting money from everybody, but you're only spending it on the big communities. So they were challenged on that. And so they came up with this program to take some of the funding that they get and give it back to I don't believe it's called non-members, but it's participants in the large programs they have. Long story short, the potential for about $242,000 out there. In the past, they have awarded it completely to a single project. But again, this only started in 2019, and I don't know how many people are aware of it. So it could be a long shot. We may not get it. Talking with the engineer in our office that was successful on the first one, and he said what they are looking for is projects that have a larger benefit than just the community. Farm to market roads are a big one for them. And I believe our project fits with this because we're talking about Landis, truck traffic and all that going through to Landis Co-op and all that. And so I think we have a good shot at it. We don't know what other people might apply. It might be nobody. They could split the funding. You could get a little bit and somebody else gets a little bit and do that. It's not set. But we're a little bit behind the game. The applications are due February 11th. So into this week. But the application is pretty simple and I think we can slam it out, but we do need support from the city to do it. Obviously, we're not going to ask for funding without your guys' permission. So we presented we've got a resolution in there. It's a standard resolution that we used on the previous project. I say not standard, but it's similar to the one we used on the previous project. I believe I got all the city names changed correctly in that one. Basically, it's just this council support that yes, we do want to apply for this funding. Yes, we support the project. And it's a commitment that should you accept the funding from the STBG that you will proceed with the project. At this point, you are not required, if they do award you and select you, you are not signing on the dotted line to take the money. So if there's too many strings attached, you can back out if you do get it. And by backing out, then you're not obligated to proceed with the project in general. But if you do proceed with the project, there are some strings attached. Because it comes through CERTPA, we would have to do the DOT bidding for it. So we would have to bid through the local systems process through the DOT. it's doable. It just adds some extra work to get it into their system and to do it by their standards and with their, all their right project numbers and all that stuff. So it's really doable. It does add, it requires an IDUT audit at the end of the project. So that's another step that's got to be done. So there is no such thing as free money, but so there's the other thing it requires is some environmental review requirements because it's federal funding, swap money they call it. We would have to do a wetland delineation, phase 1 environment, all the stuff we're talking about for CDBG. We would have to do that to get the STBG funding as well. It's a roadway. You're not going to have wetlands necessarily. I don't think we have a lot of open ditches, but so it just needs to be done. Again, that offsets a little bit of the cost gain you get from it. But if you potentially get $240,000, and even if it takes $40,000 of extra work to get it, there's $200,000 that you can use.
I think it's a great idea to pursue it.
Doesn't hurt to apply.
Does the fact that all the runoff on this going to come down to 5th Street and head down to Indian Creek, create additional environmental reviews or requirements?
Yes. Yep. And that's going to be the sticky part on this one. I keep forgetting about that. When I talked with Nate in our office, he brought that up too, that wetland and all that doesn't matter on the street project, but because we do have that outlet included in there, it will trigger more on that.
Even if we didn't have the outlet, we would still have the water going there.
The water going there doesn't necessarily trigger it. It's when you disturb it. Sorry. My car warranty. So putting water into a property or into a wetland, that doesn't trigger it. It's when you disturb it or permanently impact it. So the water goes there today. So if we cut the project short and just dumped it, it kind of goes. I mean,
the water comes down and then puddles right in front of Shannon's house and causes him all kinds of problems, and eventually goes across the street and eventually gets down there. And that's part of what we're trying to improve.
Correct.
But in trying to improve that and including it as part of this project, if we didn't include it as part of this project, wouldn't we have just as many problems? Because now the water that puddles along Baldwin is flowing down and going to puddle in front of Shannon's house even deeper.
Possibly. It's the same discussion we had with the stadium and Woodlawn, right? It's in theory, you could make a case that the road is going back at a smaller width than it is today, and so there's less runoff going there, but it's still going there. And if we don't do the improvements in the intakes to get it somewhere,
Well,
6 and a half dozen of the other. So
if we get $100,000, if we don't get anything, it doesn't make any difference. If we do get something that goes toward the project, or if our requirements overlap what we would have to do with community development block grant, so that we don't have twice as many requirements, but we have overlapping requirements, then I think it's a good idea to try for both.
Okay. Is that a motion?
So moved. I move approval of the resolution, which is now the next number.
3, right?
4.
4. Last one. Second.
2022-04.
Motion by Steve, second by Doug. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren.
Yes.
Doug. Yes. Ken.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes.
Thank you, Lynn.
Now find us some more money.
yeah,
Hey,
I'm trying.
Keep
You
going.
don't have to come to us if you're wanting to give us money.
Yeah, I mean, just do it, Wes.
Technically, I do, but
I think there was a motion made, second. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Discussion action on scope of services proposal for Heart of Iowa Trail Arch Bridge erosion.
Need to put an acronym on that.
Yeah, I tried to shorten that name and I couldn't. Answer.
Good.
The scope of work is exactly what I was looking for. In order so that we can discuss it, I move approval of the scope of work with payment from local option sales tax.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Doug?
Yeah.
Ken?
Yeah.
Steve?
Yes,
Lauren?
Yes.
Okay.
with the mayor being authorized to sign. That goes without saying. However, I had to say it anyway, I guess.
7C, discussion action on scope of services proposal for Woodlawn drainage study, actually River Lawn, sorry, drainage study.
This again is exactly the scope I was looking for. And so we can discuss it, I move approval of the scope of work with the mayor authorized to sign and payment coming from the franchise tax.
Second.
Moved by Steve, second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Doug?
Yeah.
Ken?
Yeah.
Steve?
We didn't allow a lot of time for people to discuss.
Would you, okay.
No,
Discuss.
I say yes.
Okay.
Then I'll vote no.
Lauren?
Yes.
7D, discussion action on bill from Cambridge for EMS calls. You can see October, November, December, $3,300.
Do we have a recommendation that it be paid?
For the new member of the EMS, want to say yes or no to that?
Yeah. Recommend that
On
over
the screen.
Let me pull up.
This is a fair and just bill. And it's been reviewed by the emergency, what do we call them?
Medical services.
The safety committee
Safety.
with a recommendation to pay.
I make a motion, we pay this.
Second,
Moved by Ken, second by Steve. Discussion.
I think it's gonna go down.
I was gonna say, won't that go down according to their
Yeah.
most recent report? I thought that was
Most recent.
fantastic. So
Moving in the right direction.
we are moving in the
35
right
calls.
direction.
Total, so in December. So, 9.
Great.
I'm just gonna keep some time out so you guys can keep discussing.
I'm done discussing.
Okay.
I think he just voted no. He said 9, that's German for no.
Steve.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
7E, discussion action on the sale of EMS ambulance. In front of you do have a nice little letter of removal of EMS ambulance. The EMS would like to sell the 1988 Ford E302 rescue van. It would require new tires and new battery to get it up and running. They would like to know if the city would be willing to let them sell or junk it and how the city would like to proceed with the selling decision. They would also like to get an SUV to use as the primary vehicle and keep the 1998 ambulance as a rehab vehicle during fires. So we are only discussing at this time the sale of the EMS ambulance.
Do you have a recommendation?
I'd like to recommend that we just put it up for a bid and get what we can for it. And so
Is that a motion?
I'd rather, you're only gonna get $50 for junk, so I'll make a motion that we put it up for bid.
Sealed bid.
Sealed bid.
Second,
Second by, moved by Ken, second by Steve. Discussion.
is there a local firm that would help us with that?
I don't
We
know.
could, I could put it on a
Anybody that would do
bid.
that.
Everything starts at $1. If you want, I could do that.
I have somebody that's already willing to pay 200 for it.
Oh.
Well, there we go.
Sold.
Gotta have sealed bids.
Put it in a sealed bid, so.
You
Yeah,
got
no,
it.
we'll just, take sealed bids for what? You probably have to somehow advertise that, until the next meeting.
Do we have a policy, with, disposition of
Yes.
used equipment?
If you declare it unnecessary,
Declaration of surplus equipment?
something like that.
We've just declared it. Now we gotta figure out what our policy is for advertising.
Well, we accept sealed bids through,
Through the next meeting.
well, say Wednesday before the next meeting.
So we can look at them.
Yep.
Okay.
And that would be the March meeting, right?
Yes,
The
that'd be the
emergency.
March meeting, so the March 2nd
Sealed bids through March 2nd,
at
Yeah.
close of business.
close of business.
Any more?
And that it be advertised,
On the board,
Just-
on
on the board, on the Facebook page.
Facebook, on the city website,
Okay.
whatever.
Are we
And
required
by word of
to,
mouth.
are we required to publish in the paper for something this small? I wouldn't think so.
I don't think we,
The
We-
fire truck, we only put flyers out for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Post
Sounds
office,
good.
yeah.
any other discussion on that? I think one of the other thing, even though this is not an action item, they want to purchase a SUV. I think that's a good idea. The reason I say that is because we can't haul or transport anybody anyway.
Right.
And you get a lot, people are more comfortable driving an SUV.
As I drove through Bondurant the other night, or this morning too, they have 2 or 3 of them sitting outside as their emergency vehicles. I think that they probably run and go, but they look like Suburbans or whatever
Yeah.
sitting out there, so.
Do they have like the SUV like has a sliding door on the side so you get access to it? or
No,
is it
we're on.
more like a
It's just
Suburban.
more like a Suburban where you just pop it up, you probably take the seats out or whatever.
They have, I know, a pickup truck that the chief drives, and then the 2 assistant chiefs both have a Tahoe. And that's what
Yeah,
they
probably
drive.
more of a
So that's-
Tahoe.
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
that's what they are.
And if they needed to, if it was in the middle of winter, they just had to extricate somebody out. They could sit them in the back seat, or they could warm up until Story County got there.
I think it's a great idea. I'd like to see EMS put together a spec sheet on what they're looking for and get some proposals so that we have a general idea of how much money would be spent, and then we can go from there with seeking formal bids.
Sure. Okay. So
You got something?
The Tahoe off the state bid, state contract is running about 36,000 just for the Tahoe. And then by the time you add lights and sirens and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be looking around 50 that's a brand new one. You went that route, or if you used, look for a used one, you can get them for cheaper than that.
I just thought about that. Do I have to make like an amendment for the sale of that ambulance that we deface that? Or is that gonna be up to the person who buys it?
I'll take all the stickers and everything off of it.
Radios, stickers?
All right, we need to do that before we get rid of it. I think that'd be our responsibility.
I think the good news is there's not radios that work.
Perfect. So I don't care about the
Yeah,
lights
take
and
off
everything,
the
the logo.
Maxwell.
but just the Maxwell name off of it. Okay.
Doesn't matter, you're gonna take that off and it'd still say Maxwell.
So we're going to release it, not there.
Okay, so I left off on Lauren,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Discussion and action of authorization of mayor to sign law enforcement services contract. This is my favorite time of year.
Move approval of the mayor signing the contract with the sheriff.
Moved by Steve.
I'll second because we don't have any choice.
Second by Doug. Discussion.
Note the long pause, though, Doug.
I know we don't have any choice, but we have, I think that's something we need to look into. I
Agreed.
know that we have citizens in this town that have law enforcement and EMS and everything like that, that we might like to see what we can do or come up with, so.
You are on the Public
Yep.
Safety Committee, and since we don't have anything in place immediately, this contract
It's good for you.
takes,
Yeah.
will.
Yep.
30-day notice is all we need.
Just make sure that we provide public safety until we can identify something else.
Perfect.
And when we do identify something else, if, we need to have the costs of the whole package presented, because this is the whole package.
I think talking to Scott and Joel and a couple other guys that are on the department, we know, I mean, some of them work part-time for other people and some, other agencies and stuff, so they kind of know a little bit about that stuff, so.
Yeah.
More than I-
Pull in all the expertise you need. And if there's a better mousetrap, then let's go for it.
And I do think we use them on 1B, doing all of our violations under city ordinances that we're paying $150 a day or more.
Yeah,
Tallied it up one time, and we're getting.
that went through my mind today, was telling, just their time off that thing that is being in town, supporting, taking speeds and watching whatever, not serving papers, because they gotta do that anyway.
Yeah.
And just figuring out, I mean, how much that is.
What does a car cost a year?
What's that?
What does a car cost a year?
Yeah.
I did, and I think this would fall into play as well a little bit. I did reach out to the Story County Board of Supervisors because in the state of Iowa, emergency services, which I believe includes this, is a
Emergency services includes what?
sheriff,
Policing?
policing, EMS, and fire.
I wasn't aware of that.
But it is
Mandatory?
no,
No.
it's mandatory.
Essential.
An
Essential service.
Yeah, an essential service.
Yep.
But then it is up to the individual counties to make those decisions, whether it's essential or not. In Story County right now, those,
Still hasn't made.
Correct.
EMS.
correct. And I have heard nothing back. That was per recommendation for Scott that let me know. So I'm going to, again, for about the fourth time, reach back out and see if I get a response back. So
Policing is an essential service. If we are mandated for the city, we are mandated by code to have it. What my understanding is that what the county is being asked to do by declaring it an essential service is it allows alternate tax revenue
Correct.
to be set aside
Correct.
to pay
Yeah.
for it.
And that was the other thing I was getting at, but I got sidetracked, so thank you for reminding me. So there may be more funds available if that were the case.
So just so that I'm understanding, this is something that a service contract that we sign up on every year, you sign up on every year.
Mhm.
We may have the ability to not have to have,
Correct, but the only way that we can do that is if we have our
Oh,
own force.
Applying in
Force.
place,
Yeah.
yeah.
full-time, they have to be full-time. What's the
So-
parameters or thresholds that,
Correct me
Say,
if I'm
Joel,
wrong,
is
but
that correct?
Cambridge decided probably not to do this and went with servicing Huxley.
Yep.
okay,
That's why you see the Huxley cop going in and out of Cambridge.
gotcha.
So we had talked about it because the weird part is, even if we had our own police force, if there was a fire, if there was a wreck or anything like that, guess who would still have to show up?
Sorry,
Township
sure.
does, yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Wow. They have an obligation to do certain things. And, then it becomes who's in charge at the scene, and that's dependent on what is happening.
And who shows up first.
Well, if we were to go with our own police department and they didn't show up first, then
Then in Story County would show up, they'd become IC, I would imagine. That's how it goes everywhere else, yeah. So they would be in charge of the whole scene.
They can still turn it over to the local
Yeah.
once
It
once
still
he
turns
shows up.
over,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, where did I leave off at? Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yeah.
Steve,
yes,
Lauren.
Yes.
Discussion and action of cemetery mowing. Dave Pomeroy has been mowing for the last
3 years, I think.
a couple of years.
When do we go out for proposals again, Deb?
For cemetery mowing, you don't have to go out for proposals.
There you go.
Since he works for Ziegler until we get our path.
Yeah.
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 We'll hold him hostage.
Convenient that this
Well,
signature says Ziegler.
I think Dave has done a great job. We've had lots of positive comments.
He's got several connections to our community.
I
too,
haven't
which is
heard
nice.
any complaints from up there. That's cemetery.
At the cemetery itself?
Yeah. So,
We have to find
Endorsements
out,
from the cemetery?
what we have to find out is whether or not, what he is proposing price-wise is, a reasonable offer for the city, or if,
unless he's gonna do it for the same you did last year.
It says we'll continue to do the work as I have done in the past.
well, that doesn't tell me how much.
That's true.
Do you know how much we paying, Deb?
600?
That's why I was thinking 600 a
Under
month
650.
A ton.
at a time.
Is it 650?
I think it's 650.
650 a time for
And he trims every other time,
Trims every other time.
all cemeteries? It would be
Just Maxwell,
just the,
The Maxwell, the,
not
Maxwell.
Pioneer.
He
not
He does
Pioneer.
Pioneer
He
too.
does Pioneer too.
Pioneer, he only, I think it's 250 he gets for Pioneer a year.
A year,
a time.
a time?
A
for the
year,
Pioneer?
A year.
a year.
A year?
A year.
Oh, it is a year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because otherwise, I'll do it for 200.
Yep. Take turns. I'm about to go do that one.
No, I'm not gonna do that one.
I think for the council to decide, we need to get a,
Price.
price proposal from him, and put it on the next meeting.
You motion to table.
Yes.
Second.
Second to table. Discussion. Hearing none. Ken,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Doug. Yes.
7H, discussion and action tax payment for 309 3rd Street. This is for, they converted an existing garage area to a bedroom, bathroom, and walk-in closet. Estimated cost of improvement was $20,000. And obviously, I think this gets sent off to the county and they decide if it's 20%.
20%.
Isn't that how the abatement is calculated? If they do improvements, it's gotta be at least 20%.
Has to be at least 20% of their
Yeah.
existing value,
Yeah.
or previous value. If they're done with it and it is $20,000, is that how I'm reading this? They've done the work already?
They've done the
Yeah,
work and
they've
the
done the
cost was
work.
$20,000.
309.
Well, if they've done the work, then you have to go with actual cost of improvements. You
Yeah.
can't go with
Wouldn't be an
estimate.
estimate, right? Do they submit their bills so to confirm that 20,000? How does that all work?
We could just change that.
So it'd have to be 24, 25,000. Right,
20%, yeah. 25,800.
So, there's no requirement that we act on this tonight. There is time. And what we would need is actual costs, a list of the actual costs that shows that it's
20%.
And maybe what we need is information from the auditor or the assessor or our own ordinance. Is it 20% of the value of the improvement? So it's not, so you exclude the land?
Right. Is it the dwelling? Which is,
Because the land value up there is 35,000. And so if you take the land value off, the building value is less than 100,000.
94.
20,000 would be,
It would be 20%.
would be 20%. So let's,
need help?
Nope, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna guess it's under zoning and subdivision.
I don't think it's in the ordinance. It is a standalone ordinance for urban revitalization. Look in the index under urban revitalization.
Improvements consisting of new structures or rehabilitations or additions to existing buildings must have increased the actual value of the qualified real estate by at least 15%.
Qualified real estate, and so does that include the value of the land? Good question, right?
Yeah.
It is. That makes a big difference.
And I think the assessor can help us with that. How are other communities applying it? Because the assessor is also going to have to take our ordinance and apply it if we approve it. So let's take a month to get the information from the assessor and 15%. And they would have to provide actual expenditures, not estimated.
15%.
And if it's 15%, 20,000 divided by 0.15, 133,000. So they would be within the 129 either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's land and building, but I think we should know that anyway. And is the $20,000 an estimated cost or is it actual? And if it's actual, do they have the receipts?
According to this, it'd have to be actual because it's done.
Right.
So, but we would probably
I
like
need their
real
receipts. They would need a
receipts.
copy of
Should we also adjust our form here, maybe?
We will probably, only be using this for another year, because our tax abatement
Oh, it would
goes up
be,
in
goes up,
2020.
yeah.
I believe.
Oh, it's another whole year?
I think so. I can double check that. Deb's looking at
Is there a date on that, Deb?
He's on it.
After June 30th, 2023, no further applications shall be accepted.
June of 23, so one more year.
So a motion made by Steve to table until next meeting.
Second.
Second by Ken, discussion. Hearing none. Ken?
Yeah.
Steve?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Then we're moving on to item J, discussion action on truck parking and truck route. If you can see, the letter from, is this from you, Deb?
Nope, from Doug.
It's my scribbles,
From Doug.
based on Deb's input from what the lawyer told her when she
Take
checked
it away.
Well, the attorney was hesitant to do anything based on who owns the vehicle. Then looking at the ordinance, I don't see any problems, no matter who does own the vehicle. If the company owns the vehicle, the fear was that they had bigger guns than our guns and they would make a big issue out of the parking. And if it's owned by the resident, the thought was he would claim it as his fixed terminal, but that still has problems in logic because, fixed terminal, it's zoned R2. In order to have a variance there would have to be a hearing, which has not happened. The home occupation is a stretch to call of anything there. I guess I don't see the issues that the attorney has, and maybe there are issues that I don't see, obviously. But the place for trucks is in C1 or M1, not in a residential area. So that's.
The way I read this, it sounded to me like the attorney saying our ordinance clearly states that it's not permitted because it's not on the truck route. We specify where the truck routes are. And regardless of who owns it, it wouldn't be permitted. So the attorney's willing to move forward with it.
Okay, if that's what it said, I just looking for
That's the way I read it.
That's fine. That's better than the way I read it.
So let's turn it over to the attorney for enforcement. He's been given the letter, right, Deb?
Yes.
Multiple times?
From 2010 is when a letter was first sent. Deb looked it up.
Okay.
Believe me, I know he had it.
So
Does
what
he-
roads are considered truck besides Baldwin and Fifth?
Baldwin, Fifth, Second,
Main.
going out of town,
Second.
all the ways in and out of
Okay, and
town.
it used to be railroad. Or still is, because
I don't
the
think
railway, or railroad, or
Railway.
whatever, because of where the,
Co-op.
co-op used to be.
No, because they have access
There's the main
directly off of 210. they wouldn't have to take Railroad Avenue.
But I know they didn't, never use that for, unless.
The fact that they front
exit.
210, I think is,
That's just like right in front of grain bin, and
Yeah,
it's
they-
only used for an exit because
Mhm.
everybody came around and,
loop through, that block.
yeah.
Jameson, you have the ordinances that should say in there what the routes were.
Do we still have existing signs out there at that point where our truck routes are, or have those been misplaced?
6605 is truck routes, and it says, currently that, every motor vehicle weighing 8 tons or more when loaded or empty, having no fixed terminal within the city, or making no scheduled or definite stops within the city for the purposes of loading or unloading, shall travel over upon the following streets within the city and none other. So any big semi that's delivering meat to Gollies could deliver meat to Gollies, or furniture to anybody's house because it's making a specific delivery. For the purpose of this section, the term motor vehicle, motor truck, truck trailer, or truck tractor, trailer, semi-trailer shall have the meaning defined by the Code of Iowa, and the list of truck routes: 5th Street, Highway 210, from the east city limits to Baldwin, Main Street, Highway 210, from 5th Street to the city limits, Baldwin, from 5th Street to the city limits, and 2nd Street, from the west city limits to Main Street. So
So north side of the
main
park,
ways in and out of town,
What,
and not railway. So
what's just a tractorway?
What's that?
What's a tractorway? A semi-tractor?
Well, if you got 80,000 gross, I knew I could put about 50,000 pounds of seed on that truck before he was about there.
no, if it's just a
With
tractor,
it's just
So just a tractor.
Yeah.
Just a tractor.
it weighs more than 4 tons.
Yeah, it weighs more than 6
Or 8
I know
tons.
that.
More than 8
So
tons.
you have
More
8
than
tons.
8 tons.
Weighs more than 16,000.
And it makes no difference whether he parks it on the street, if he parks it in his yard, if he parks it,
That's right.
it's just how to get to his,
If it was in his yard, we'd still be filing against him because
He
it's
still has to
not
get
on a truck route.
Right.
Helicopter.
so he
Now,
needs to park it on a truck route and then obviously park a car there to get home, or how, is that?
the old Casey's, not Casey's, the old Conoco station. So on a truck route, you could certainly park it there, work out a deal with the owner and, use that as, parking. I'd hate it. But,
Block the view real bad.
It's legal.
Yeah.
and when he starts it up in the morning, I'd be complaining to the city also, but it wouldn't do any good. Well, yeah, you still can't run it at night. It's on a truck route. And it's zoned commercially.
You and I would both hate that.
Yeah.
When, do you know when the last letter was sent out? Deb?
Month ago or so.
With no response from the city.
Phone call, but yeah.
Wasn't there some truck
November
disputing that
30th.
happened out in, where my in-laws live, out in their development? The gentleman, I don't remember the
Yes.
address.
Yeah.
Is this kind of the same thing?
You're talking about on Web Court
Yeah.
at the corner
Yeah.
of Web and
Prove his truck
Fifth.
doesn't weigh
Yes.
16,000 pounds.
He was parking his semi trucks in a residential area.
Mhm.
And accessing it from
but
web court,
accessing it from web court.
not,
If he
not
could
off of
access
210.
it from Fifth, which the DOT would not approve, because they wouldn't give
another driveway.
another driveway there. But if he could have, then the question becomes whether or not parking a private vehicle in a residential area is permitted, but he wanted to do multiple semis,
Right.
and that's where it started falling apart.
Just the, can't just look at this up, just the, tractor itself is, can be anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. So he could come back
What
and
was that again, pounds?
So, model 386 Peterbilt weighs 13,000 pounds.
This has a sleeper. Does that make it any
So
bigger? No
I've
difference.
added a couple hundred
13,000,
pounds.
okay.
But, a 387 weighs 10,000 pounds more than that. So depending on the tractor, if he can prove that his tractor doesn't weigh 16,000 pounds more than that,
he's fine. He's under
then
the,
he would be okay.
Then I think we need to look at this ordinance and modify it.
What we do,
My
Right
son
now
drives a 389.
we have
and it
the
weighs about
attorney
21,000.
send him the letter, if he can show the judge that his vehicle, is less than 8 tons, then the judge is gonna say, well, you win. We end up paying all the legal fees,
$85 legal.
and then we can evaluate whether or not, to amend the ordinance.
Besides the weight issue or route issue, is there any other,
noise.
the noise
Noise,
ordinance that is also in violation?
Yes, if you're, what's the timeline on that, Deb?
10 p.m. to, was it 8 a.m.?
So he's starting it prior to 8 a.m. when needed.
But it has to run
there a-
30 minutes.
How many minutes?
30.
30 minutes. So if he starts his truck at 7, lets it run because it's cold.
Right.
Now, is there a limit, decibel limit to, or not? Or is it just because
That was my question, because the
the
complaint
guy
was-
next to him has a hot rod and lets it run? And it has
Neighbor
open
across,
inners,
yeah.
doors
neighbor
up.
across the street from me had a pickup that
uh-huh,
didn't have any pipes.
right, so
Yeah.
loud.
And he would start at 4:30 in the morning,
Yep,
let it run for a little bit. And when he started off to work, it rattled all the windows in my house.
it really did. I could hear it from my house. Is that truck still there?
No,
No.
he has a different one now and it's nice and quiet.
Nice. Yeah, it did. It ripped and wrapped and
But that's
rattled.
what I can sympathize that, gee, here's a noisy semi, but what about noisy pickups?
Mhm.
Any
That's where
vehicle,
I
yeah.
sympathize with.
Do we have a
the
noise
truck
ordinance
driver.
anyplace?
That's the, where it's between 10 PM and 6
10
AM.
and 6, but is there your definition of loud is gonna be different than somebody else's.
What is that, decibel? What is that?
Well, I mean, is there a decibel limit for so
No.
long? Is there,
No decimal limit.
There's
I know when I
a,
had my little party down here, I made sure and said no more music after 10 o'clock. I mean, that's just because.
says noise, no vehicle shall be left, whether it's pickup or a semi or whatever, shall be left, standing or parked upon any street or alley or public or private way or drive in any service station between the hours of 10 PM and 6 AM with the engine auxiliary engine. That would be like a refrigeration unit. Or air compressor, refrigerating equipment, or other device in operation giving off audible sound, except only the drive of a service station when actually being serviced. And no more than for 30 minutes. So if it's being serviced, it can be running for 30 minutes. If it's just running, it can't. So if it has any noise,
So should he or his attorney fight back, he could potentially have us on the weight of the vehicle, but nothing else.
well, unless we have somebody willing to testify that he starts it up in the morning and it's noisy because and then he lets it sit for a little while, warming up before he goes. Well, no vehicle shall be left standing or parked upon any street or alley between 10 and 6 with the engine running. So if he starts it and leaves, apparently he could get around that, but that's the way the ordinance reads today.
And his argument was that we didn't have any signs posted on the streets, stays on for 8 tons.
Well, that's for the attorney to argue with the judge and for the judge to say that that's essential. The
I'm
ordinance,
just saying that that's what.
yeah, I understand
that,
that. It's just not something that the council should, I don't
I
think the
don't think
council
any
should pay any
town's ever
attention to
going to
that.
put a sign at every corner off Highway 210 that says not a truck route.
Not a truck route.
But they will put one at the beginning that says truck route.
Right.
And that's why my
Yeah.
question was,
Because we're not gonna buy
Right.
100 signs.
are all our truck route signs fair and up to date?
Oh, heavens no. But we have it in the ordinance, and as much as I hate saying it, it is the responsibility of people to know the ordinance. Not the responsibility of the city to educate people. Now, I certainly think it's a great idea to update the signs, but that shouldn't stop us.
I feel like we're gambling. You know,
I do
said I
too.
feel like
Well,
we're
yeah.
gambling.
Absolutely, we
too.
are.
Yeah.
But
And I don't like that. But
take
that's
it,
not my
take it to court. If the judge says that we are deficit in some area, then let's fix it.
Yep.
As opposed to saying, well, let's don't do anything with it because we don't know whether we should or shouldn't. Let's find out.
So is that in the action?
Yeah, what is that? What is the
Move
action?
that be turned over to the attorney for
Well,
enforcement.
devil just came right at me.
Second.
Is that okay, Deb?
Yep.
For as far as being clear?
Yep.
Okay, so that was a motion made by Steve.
Steve, second by Lauren.
Lauren, discussion? Hearing none. Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yeah,
Steve?
Yeah.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Now, for everybody's favorite time, discussion of budget for fiscal year 22-23.
Now let's set a date for a meeting where that can be discussed in detail.
Shall we do in 2 weeks? And then we can get the development agreement on that meeting as well? Or is that too late?
We've worked on the departmental budgets, which are a lot of wish lists. Parks would like to spend more money doing valuable things. The fire department, same way, EMS the same way. everybody has these wonderful ideas on their wish list. Where we are with the budget right now, I think I sent something out a week or so ago that listed all the line items and revenue and expenditures and a summary by fund. And yes, we can balance the budget, but it would take about $109,000 out of local option sales tax to do it. If we decide to do that, fine, we're going to get about $110,000. So it would take all the local option sales tax. We would then still need to go back and identify which items in the budget are community betterment items that would total to the $109,000. Or we have to go back and say, well, yeah, this was a great idea, but we don't have the funds this year to do it all. We're going to have to do some cutting. Now, we have to get all this done by the March meeting. So do we have one budget meeting or do we have two budget meetings in February? Do we meet next week and struggle through some of our wish lists and make sure we have everything balanced? And then if we can get it all done in one meeting, great. We do the development meeting by itself the following week. Or if we don't get everything done and we still have work to do, we've got to get everything done by the March meeting. So my preference would be, let's have a meeting next Monday night, get as much done as we can. If we get everything done, that's great. We're done with it. And if we have to come in for the ATI meeting the following week, it should be fairly short.
Yep. And
we're done with it. Besides that, I get an extra $35 that way.
You're getting paid for this? I'm just kidding.
The real reason Steve wants to see all of our faces again.
He does. He does.
Misses us.
His social life's about like mine, so yes.
Yeah.
So because we have to get all this done by the March meeting and where we are with the budget, I think we have enough discussion that it may take more than one meeting.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. So, meeting on the 14th,
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Or do we want to do it a different night next week?
Maybe the 16th.
I
No,
don't believe I'll make it that night.
the 17th.
What about the 15th?
15th.
Tuesday nights? Got a game night for anybody?
It's a gymnastics night for our household.
Okay.
But Doug, sounds like you're pretty good at being mayor. You can do it.
Could, I guess, but I don't care.
And I can talk to the wife. Say, you get Valentine's Day, okay, honey?
There. That is essential. So
Deb, are you closed for,
Valentine's Day?
no,
No, I was gonna say.
President's Day? Do you get President's Day?
No.
No?
So shoot for the 15th at 6:30.
And
You
then
wanna go
the
6?
21st.
Oh, you want to go 6 o'clock? What'd you say?
Yep.
Okay, 6 o'clock.
February 16th, 6 o'clock.
This is budget.
And then
February
February
16th or
21st.
15th.
Then the 21st.
This would be the 15th.
16th.
The 21st.
No.
15th.
Tuesday the 15th is
Tuesday
budget.
the 15th.
I'll be in Hawaii. It's a 4-hour difference. something like
And the 21st, at what time?
that. I couldn't go, I might be slurring my words.
Be at the rig, do we
One
wanna
at 6.
start at 6?
Yeah.
Okay,
Budget meeting / ATM.
I think,
21st is my 51st anniversary.
We can't do that.
Well, we can't do that.
She'll be mad.
It's
No, we're not
Valentine's
doing
Day.
that. Nope. We can't do that.
Oh,
She'll be
that's okay.
upset.
It's
She understands.
51, 50, what's the difference? man?
Well, if it was 50, 51's one beyond.
you know what, just invite her to the meeting, that can be your date.
Yeah.
That'll work. I can't go over and get Casey's Pizza though. so.
No.
You could, they do wood-fired pizza night, did you know that?
Intentional or otherwise.
Our pizza over here.
Darn, shame on us.
Oh, shoot, we're gonna get in trouble.
budget meeting 6 o'clock till maybe 9.
You put a closing time on this? We've never done that
Yeah,
before.
let's do that.
It makes my calendar, makes sure I reserve time on my calendar. I don't get any conflicts, because I'm such a busy guy.
Your phone's blowing up more than mine. Over here vibrating, popular. I don't know, my phone doesn't go off at all.
Maybe.
His car warranty's expired too.
Okay. Tiana may have some of her numbers finalized by the middle of this week, so. I think we should be ready for it.
21st.
Should we turn the heat back on?
No, I was just looking for a plug-in because I'm gonna bring like a little tiny feet heater.
It has to be approved by
The safety committee.
safety
has one over
committee.
here.
It has to be approved. You can't just be bringing in heaters.
Set a generator out.
Plastic. Ken,
Wanna
switch me
switch chairs?
seats. There we go. Now we're talking.
Switch chairs for a minute.
Don't you get chilly over here?
Yes,
God.
that's why I have 3 layers or 4
Whoa.
layers on.
Turn off the fan.
Oh.
Now switch chairs, I just
Full chain.
told you.
Yeah.
I guess got that there, Steve.
One of y'all.
All right, so what's the next one?
Reports.
Council, mayor report. Steve, what do you got?
Oh, Stephen.
He does that. I'm gonna get a finger right to the eye.
Yes.
One of my fingers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
right here.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll pick my nose for him.
You missed one. It's still on. There you go.
Now we all just got asbestos poisoning by all that dust coming in.
And if you need a new fan, I got a plan here itself to have a remote so we can do
I that. bet, yeah, I do see that. I'm gonna get that Yeti cooler.
I have nothing.
Oh, Lauren, jeez.
I have nothing. Am I supposed to have something?
Only if
Whatever's on your mind.
The only thing I would say, I've been talking to Alex about taking over his areas that he's responsible for. He's gonna send me a spreadsheet and I've been talking to him about that, so.
Oh, for our pictures, all right.
Yes,
It's been an ongoing thing for about
okay.
7 months.
He mentioned it and I started talking to him about it, so I probably should check back in.
I was gonna get you a map.
Oh, that's right.
Douglas, we're gonna,
Well, Steve missed this, so I'm gonna highlight it. Steve and I are going to some kind of development meeting in Ames Friday morning,
All right.
8:30 to, I don't know, 1 o'clock or 2.
Vehicle.
What?
Can I take the city
Take the
vehicle?
city
you
vehicle.
can take the ghost.
We'll take the.
Actually,
It's not sold.
my suggestion is that we meet over there and you give me a ride back.
do that.
Because you said you're gonna be a little late, now we,
It starts at 8:30. I'll be leaving at 8 if that's soon enough. I could be able to leave by 8. Bus route's done at 8.
if you're leaving at 8, that'd be close enough.
Okay.
I thought you were leaving closer to 8:30 or.
No,
Okay,
unless we have a late start of school or something. So that's all I have.
Shouldn't be Friday. It's supposed to be like 40
Must be
something.
decent.
Yeah.
So,
Ken,
But the water lines break at school.
I guess the only question I got is since Casey's is pretty much took everything out, does anybody know what the plan is?
So,
there?
yeah, that, I was gonna talk on this too, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, and I'll let you talk on it, otherwise
So they took the pumps out.
Yeah.
And they also capped the tanks themselves. And we were told that the reason they did that was for safety concerns. Since they did have 2 suspected arson cases in the last week, they didn't want somebody to come in and try to start the
tanks on
tanks
fire.
on fire,
Well,
because that would
tanks
take up
Wow.
all of Main Street. So, I'm gonna probably wait a week or 2 and then probably reach out to Casey's Corporate and see what their plans are. Lauren and I kind of had this discussion this morning too, because if they don't plan to rebuild, that leaves a big hole in Maxwell. And I think we automatically become less attractive to people to come in.
Right.
And so we want to be proactive rather than reactive in that. So whether it's Quick Star or Come and Go or Quick Trip, or so we need something here. So
If Casey's does decide to rebuild, I think that's fantastic. I'm sure they will. It would create more work for us if they didn't. But I did do a couple surveys for Quick Start and Come and Go to go to Elkhart on the corner there at 36, I think it was. But I do know how to start that process, so I can help with that too.
perfect. Did that answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
So with that, I have also reached out to FS, who owns the Fast Stop over in Collins. I'm going to start the process of getting at least 1 card, if not 2 cards for the city. The pro to that is that at that point, they don't charge federal tax on that. They'll still charge state tax, so we will have to do some sort of tax filing form, so we can get that money back. The reason I'm doing that obviously is because we have to go someplace now to get gas for fire trucks, EMS vehicles, all of our city vehicles and equipment. So, and we already have an account with FS anyway, so. You look confused, Steve.
You're talking about state and federal taxes. And those would be road use tax?
I'm assuming so, that you get charged when you fill up your tank.
And those are waived?
Yes. Because we would be because we're a public entity. It's already waived when we go through Casey's because we have the Casey's corporate card.
I didn't know that they waived road use taxes. Do they?
We had to do it for the
Never had
school.
cost us fear of it.
Because even though you're a public entity, you're still using the roads. It's not like a sales tax, it's a use tax.
Yeah.
So I was just confused. I'd never heard of such a thing.
Yeah.
But
There's a form because the school had to fill it out for all of our, when we switched over to that.
LP.
Yeah, we have to go get the, because they'll take federal out, but they won't take state. Other than that, that's all I got. Unless anybody's got any questions, comments, concerns. If you have concerns, just keep them in your pocket.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Moved by Steve.
There's a correction though on one, Deb. We had 34 ayes on one vote. I don't know if it's 3 or 4, but January 17th.
You don't want 34?
Yeah, we have, it was extra.
The whole crowd was in favor.
Like the
Oh, crowd's
Chicago,
here.
Chicago alderman, with 34 of them.
So whatever the right number is, that's the only one I saw.
So that was motion made by Steve,
Second.
second by Doug. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Doug,
Yep.
Ken,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes,
Thank you, everybody.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, motion
There it
made
comes.
by Drew. Is there a second?
guys, for lack of second. Second.
Second by Steve. Discussion. Hearing none. Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
No.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Record that, Deb.
Good. Hooray.
I feel like there should have been like confetti cannons or something.
Kaboom.
Hey, write that into the next